Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and trends in finance, economics, and politics. First off, let's take a look at the U.S. Federal Reserve and its new chairman, Kevin Warsh. It seems like his honeymoon period is over, as the bond market has just fired a warning shot, signaling concerns about the Fed's ability to fight inflation. According to recent reports, longer-term U.S. Treasury yields are holding near 19-year highs after Warsh failed to convince traders and investors that he will successfully tackle inflation. This development comes on the heels of Warsh's remarks at the FOMC meeting, which suggested that rising bond yields might substitute for rate hikes. The market reacted swiftly, triggering a sell-off that pushed longer-term Treasury yields to their highest levels since 2007. It's clear that investors are demanding more action from the Fed to combat inflation. Meanwhile, the US dollar is also feeling the heat, with the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index on course for its worst week in 3 months. The greenback's retreat, despite higher US bond yields, reflects concerns about the Fed's credibility and its ability to contain inflation. Japanese authorities' efforts to shore up the yen have added to the pressure on the dollar. In the stock market, things are not looking much brighter. With the historically turbulent months of September and October just around the corner, veteran market watchers are already expressing concern. The sell in May and go away adage has been an accurate one for the Nasdaq, and with inflation worries and geopolitical turbulence lingering, bears may become more confident and exert more selling pressure on the stock indexes after Labor Day. As we take a step back to analyze these developments, it's essential to consider the broader context. The ongoing wars, shipping constraints, and rising energy costs are all contributing factors to the current economic landscape. It's crucial to stay informed and adapt to the changing circumstances. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and timely story that's making headlines across Europe. A recent surge in migration has sparked intense debate and raised questions about border control, national security, and humanitarian responsibilities. The situation began when tens of thousands of migrants crossed the border from Morocco into the Spanish territory of Ceuta, a small enclave on the north coast of Africa. This sudden influx has put a strain on local resources and infrastructure, prompting the Spanish government to deploy additional troops and law enforcement personnel to the area. As the situation unfolds, European leaders are weighing in with their thoughts on how to address the crisis. Some, like Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, have called for stricter border controls and tougher immigration policies. Others, including Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, argue that a more nuanced approach is needed, one that balances security concerns with humanitarian obligations. It's worth noting that Spain has been at the forefront of advocating for regulated migration, with Sánchez himself penning an op-ed in the New York Times defending his stance on the issue. However, this approach has not been universally accepted, and some EU countries are now calling for an emergency meeting to discuss the border crisis and potential suspensions of the Schengen cooperation. As we examine this story, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and avoid simplistic solutions. The complexities of migration, national security, and humanitarian responsibilities require a thoughtful and multifaceted approach. The situation in Ceuta serves as a microcosm for the broader debates taking place across Europe and beyond. As leaders navigate these challenges, they must balance competing interests, prioritize human dignity, and work towards finding sustainable solutions that address the root causes of migration. Welcome back to Concrete Block. The region has elected a new mayor, Bev Craig, who won with 309,525 votes, surpassing Reform's Cyan Astley, who secured 157,178 votes. Craig's election is significant, as she will be succeeding Prime Minister Andy Burnham, who stepped down to run in the Makerfield by-election in June. Prime Minister Burnham has announced plans to give regional mayors a share of income tax revenue, aiming to transfer power from Westminster to local leaders. This move is part of his Manchesterism approach, which focuses on devolution and taking control of local issues such as housing and transportation. While some have praised the initiative, others have raised concerns about the lack of detail and potential funding disparities between regions. Mayor Bev Craig has expressed excitement about the challenge and pledged to deliver on her campaign promises, including freezing public transportation fares and extending free bus travel to 11 to 18-year-olds. She also aims to build 50,000 new homes and invest in town center regeneration. As we analyze these developments, it's essential to consider the potential implications for the region and the country as a whole. Will this shift in power lead to more effective governance, or will it create new challenges? Only time will tell. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.